Hello lovely viewers, welcome to my channel. I am Anna, hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Joan Vassos touched down in Rome with a sparkle in her eyes and a suitcase full of possibilities. It was the first official girls' trip since her time on The Golden Bachelor, and it wasn't just a vacation, it was a statement. Joan, now embraced by fans as a symbol of grace and new beginnings, reunited with several of her closest friends from the show for a week in the Eternal City. The day began at sunrise. At 6 a.m. sharp, Joan shared a behind-the-scenes Instagram story of her boarding the plane with the caption, "First girls trip starts now, Rome, we're coming for you." The video showed her wearing oversized sunglasses, sipping espresso, and laughing with Susan Knowles and Faith Martin, two other favorites from the season. After arriving at Leonardo da Vinci Fiumicino Airport, the women were greeted by a private car service that whisked them away to their luxury accommodations at Hotel de Russi, a five-star hotel just steps from Piazza del Popolo. The lobby, already bustling with tourists and locals, paused briefly when the trio walked in. Dressed in effortlessly chic travel attire, Joan led the check-in with confidence. Within the first few hours, the women made it clear this trip wasn't about luxury alone, it was about celebration. By noon, they were at a nearby cafe sipping Aperol spritzes, watching street performers, and documenting everything for their fans. "This is our Roman holiday moment." Faith captioned a video of Joan twirling in the middle of Via del Corso in a flowing white dress. Lunch was served at the iconic Roscioli Salumeria, where Joan tried classic cacio e pepe and toasted to friendship after roses. The atmosphere was lively, with locals recognizing the group. Joan, always gracious, posed for selfies and thanked everyone for their support during and after the show. The afternoon was packed with sightseeing. The group made their way to the Colosseum, where Joan joked about gladiators and golden bachelorettes taking over Rome. Tourists swarmed as the women explored the ruins, snapping pictures and even reenacting a faux rose ceremony on the ancient steps. Laughter echoed against the stone walls as Joan handed Susan a rose, saying, "Will you accept this gelato later?" By sunset, they were strolling through the Roman Forum, taking in the golden light that bathed the ancient city. Joan, reflective, paused at one of the columns and shared a heartfelt moment with her followers. Sometimes life takes you to ruins to remind you how beautiful rebuilding can be. Dinner was an elegant affair at Trastevere's renowned Trattoria, de Enzo al 29. The group ordered shared plates, bruschetta, truffle pasta, osso buco, and toasted to Chapter 2. A few fans nearby respectfully observed but didn't interrupt. Joan later posted, "Rome is a city of layers, and today we added ours." After dinner, the women returned to the hotel's rooftop terrace. There, under the moonlight, they uncorked a bottle of Prosecco and reflected on their day. Susan shared, "I never thought I'd be doing this in my 60s with women I met on a dating show, but here we are, and it's magic." Joan nodded. "This trip is more than sightseeing. It's about reclaiming space, joyful space for ourselves. We've given so much to others in our lives. Now we get to give this to each other." The night ended with a quiet walk through Villa Borghese Gardens. Joan, wrapped in a shawl, whispered to the camera, "Day 1, dreamy, delicious, divine. Can't wait for tomorrow." Joan Vassos and Chalk Chapel from The Golden Bachelorette haven't spent much time together lately, and that announcement has prompted concerns from fans. Joan and Chalk got engaged on The Golden Bachelorette Season 1 a year ago, but they've been slow to get to the altar. Now, it seems they may not get married at all. Although Joan and Chalk are the first Golden Bachelorette cast members to get engaged, as they were on the first season of the show, the rest of Bachelor Nation doesn't have a great marriage rate. Only 4 couples from The Bachelorette are still together. Considering there have been 21 seasons and even more leads, that rate isn't promising for Joan. The first indication that there's trouble in paradise is that Joan and Chalk haven't posted a joint Instagram photo in weeks. Joan posts consistently on Instagram, sometimes uploading multiple photos and videos a day. However, it's been 3 weeks since Joan and Chalk made a joint Instagram post. Joan did upload a carousel post on July 20th, 2025 with the caption, "Summer so far," with a few photos of Chalk included. However, due to the caption, we can infer that none of the photos in the carousel were recent. Unfortunately, it seems that Joan and Chalk haven't been in close proximity in weeks. 6 weeks ago, Joan and Chalk posted an update video on Instagram. While sitting outside in Bryant Park, they assured fans that they're still together and going strong. However, the video raised some eyebrows. While visiting New York, Joan flew in her 93-year-old mom and 83-year-old aunt. In the video, Joan says, "Chalk was nice enough to meet these two important women." Although the language is slightly ambiguous, it seemed she was implying Chalk had never met Joan's mother before that week. Given that Joan and Chalk had been engaged for almost a year when this video was uploaded, it's strange that he hadn't met these very important parts of Joan's family. Clearly, the relationship is moving at a slow pace despite the quick engagement. Recently, Joan and Chalk appeared on Bachelor Happy Hour Golden Hour. On the podcast, the couple was honest about their relationship. Although they are engaged, neither is in a rush to get married. In addition to their relocation problems, I think there is a bigger problem affecting the long-term success of the Golden Bachelorette couple, Joan Vassos and Chalk Chappell. Joan made her debut as one of 22 ladies competing for Jerry Turner's heart in Season 1 of The Golden Bachelor. Joan's status as a frontrunner was cemented when she secured a much-coveted one-on-one date with Jerry. She left the following day, though, because of a family issue, but she made such an impression on fans and producers that she was selected as the lead for Season 1 of The Golden Bachelorette. During her season, Joan had 24 suitors. Joan's early favorite was Chalk, and the two maintained their romance throughout the competition, with Joan awarding Chalk her last rose. Although I've witnessed them face numerous challenges, Joan and Chalk have been attempting to start a life together since getting engaged during the finale. As they navigate other concerns like family involvement, public scrutiny, their professional trajectories, and maintaining their position in Bachelor Nation, I know they are currently sketching out where they want to spend their time together as a pair. However, one problem sticks out above the others. Joan, 62, is the matriarch of her close-knit family and is from Rockville, Maryland. Chalk, 61, was born and raised in Wichita, Kansas, where his family and kids currently call home. I've followed the couple since they were engaged as they attempt to manage their long-distance relationship, but I don't think it's going well. They initially planned to see each other in Kansas and Maryland, but they also made the decision to purchase a home in New York City so they could spend time together. But lately, I've noticed that the two have been silent about their desire to settle in NYC. What I have observed is that Joan spends more time in Kansas than Chalk does in Maryland, which has raised suspicions that Chalk intends to keep Joan there indefinitely. Recently, Joan has returned to Maryland multiple times without Chalk, which leads me to believe that Joan is the one who is giving up the most. I don't see her finding a spouse who fits into her lifestyle, as she revealed on The Golden Bachelorette. Joan has been back in Kansas for the past week. She's caring for Chalk this time while he heals from my surgery. There is reason for alarm, even if I don't think the Golden couple planned for there to be this much chaos around their time together and Joan's absence from her family. Along with taking trips to places like Mexico and Northern California, Joan and Chalk also attend Bachelor Nation events and travel between Maryland, Kansas, and New York City. I've seen many Golden Bachelorette fans express their displeasure with Joan and Chalk's plan to keep their romance going. The fact that Joan spends most of her time in Kansas with Chalk has drawn criticism, and I believe that's where they'll end up. Fans are pushing back because Kansas is more centrally located for everything the pair does, but I know it's not what Joan had originally envisioned. It is extremely tough for Joan and Chalk to integrate their families. NDAs and other contractual obstacles prevented the Golden match from going public as a couple until mid-November 2024, but it was just in time for the holidays. Joan has been in Kansas with Chalk's friends and family since Chalk spent Thanksgiving and Christmas with her family in Maryland, and I don't believe it's a good sign that Chalk hasn't returned to see Joan's family. Joan said something regarding family blend that I thought was troubling over the holidays. Although Joan didn't elaborate, I'm positive it has something to do with the difficulties they've had integrating both of their families into their relationship. Joan's children were worried about Chalk's motives when they first met him in Tahiti, and I don't think they believe their mother's engagement is going well. Joan and Chalk talked about the difficulties they've been having organizing a Disneyland vacation for two families in the Instagram image above. Schedules and logistics for the trip must be taken into account, and they both appeared overawed by the impending achievement. For me, a major red sign is the couple's incapacity to live a simple life together in light of their family mixing. Given the importance of family to both of them and the sacrifices they, Joan in particular, are making for it, I can appreciate the public outcry over fan skepticism about the couple's long-term sustainability. Another issue jumps out as possibly more harmful to me, even though I think the long-distance and family mixing concerns are major grounds of disagreement that jeopardize Joan and Chalk's sustainability as a couple. Chalk and Joan have been putting a lot of effort into starting their influencer careers. They seem to be focusing too much on attempting to make the most of their golden bachelorette fame and not enough on recognizing the tumultuous nature of their relationship. I understand that social media engagement is popular among reality TV cast members, but I believe they are going too far. Instead of concentrating on their professional goals and savoring the limelight, they ought to be concentrating on finding a better solution to the distance and family problems at the heart of their partnership. I worry that Joan and Chalk will eventually split up because they are too troubled by the practical issues. Following their engagement on the show, Joan Vassos and Chalk Chapel, the Golden Bachelorette couple, provided an update on their plan to find a property in New York City together. While they continue to live in their homes in Wichita, Kansas, and Rockville, Maryland, respectively, Chalk suggested that he and Joan look for a place in New York City during season 1 of The Golden Bachelorette. Joan and Chalk have been looking for a place in New York City where they can go when they want to be by themselves ever since the show stopped. Joan and Chalk stated in an interview with Swoon that while they absolutely want to live together in their permanent home, they haven't moved to New York City yet because the transition has proven to be more difficult than they anticipated. Joan said, "Logistically, this is a little bit harder than we expected it to be." Joan clarified, "Chalk is still trying to get his business in Wichita, Kansas, to a point where he can leave it and feel at ease. Since we're still somewhat young and in our working years, it's a little difficult that we're a little further away from that than we may have anticipated or planned for." Joan clarified, though, that finding a location in New York City where she and Chalk can meet and spend time together is still the plan. "Visiting each other's houses is okay, but it's not quite as enjoyable," she stated. "We intended to choose a location for our meeting where we could live somewhat apart from one another, perhaps even away from our families for a while. Instead of purchasing a house, Joan and Chalk intend to rent, but it has been challenging for them to sign a lease because properties are pulled off the market so fast. Additionally, they are unsure about their desired location within the metropolis. Every time we travel to the city, we stay somewhere new, and they're all really pleasant," Chalk clarified. "Which is the ideal fit? As of yet, we truly don't know. We wanted to rent since it would allow you to avoid making that full-time commitment. This past week, we spent time at Midtown South, and I had a great time." Joan acknowledged that she was initially more close-minded about their New York City location because she adores Soho. "I love Soho, that kind of area," she remarked. "Village of Greenwich. However, I felt more at ease after staying somewhere else. It basically came down to comfort, in my opinion. I knew where to get coffee and where to get my favorite pizza since I've been there enough. But as we spend more time in other locations, they become more at ease, so I'm being a little more tolerant, which should make our search simpler." Despite the fact that some people view Joan and Chalk's long-distance relationship as a warning sign, their deliberate and leisurely pace suggests that it may survive a lifetime. They're not making snap decisions like getting married or moving in together in New York City. Actually, Joan has stated that they are taking their time getting to know one another in person before deciding to be married. It appears that Joan and Chalk are having a great time in their new relationship. It's wise for them to hold off until they discover the ideal location in New York City where they will feel at ease and fit in. In addition to keeping their own properties in Wichita and Maryland, it will be great for them to spend a vacation in New York City. Joan stated that she would never leave her family before The Golden Bachelorette ever started filming, so this flat in New York City is the ideal middle ground for her and Chalk. In addition to having a fun place to go together in. We're wrapping up here for today, but the excitement of trending gossip doesn't stop here. We'll be back with new surprises very soon. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.